The last couple of months have seen some volatility for the US stock Plug Power, trading as low as 20 in May, pushing up 36 by the end of June, but it's still well off those highs set in January. So are we seeing it building a base down here, or should we expect further weakness? I thought it'd be interesting to do an update on Plug Power. It was sort of trending well last year in 2020. Then the stock price really exploded this year, went from a low of $30 in January to within a few weeks trading as high as 75. Since then, it's given up all of those gains and almost a little bit more. But over the last couple of months, we've seen a lot of volatility over the weeks, but no real change in price. So I'm wondering, are we seeing it build a base down here? Could there be an opportunity for investors given how much it is off those January highs? So as usual, in this video, I'll talk a bit about the recent news around Plug Power, and then we'll come back onto the charts and take a look at things from a technical perspective. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought this time around on our stocks channel, we do an update on Plug Power. Take a look at their share price, how they've performed. They've taken a big hit this year from those all-time highs. So I thought, well, let's take a look at some of the recent news. Then we'll jump back onto the charts and take a look at things in more detail from a technical point of view. As usual, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel, and it means we can push out lots of different content on various stocks throughout the week. Right, let's get into it and take a look at Plug Power in a bit more detail. So if you're not sure what Plug Power do, it's a US company involved in hydrogen fuel cell development, looking at it as an alternative to batteries in powering various vehicles. So the company came to the market in 2002. So they've been out there for a long time. That was the IPO, and their first market where we saw their products was being used for forklifts. We've seen some deals done this year. For example, it signed a deal with the European car manufacturer Renault, and the plan is to roll out a line initially of 3 different vans. But it hasn't been without scandal. Earlier this year, it said that it would be restating its 2018-2019 financial results due to accounting errors. We all make mistakes, but news like this rarely goes down well with investors. We had their latest earnings out in June. The next ones aren't due out till September. And they were, I think, disappointing. The market was expecting a loss of around 8 cents per share. In the end, the earnings per share came in at a loss of 12 cents, so 50% worse than market expectations, which perhaps goes some way to explaining why we're seeing somewhat directionless performance for the share price in recent months. We saw great excitement at the beginning of the year. We saw the stock price peak at $75. It had a great run up to those highs, but since then, we've seen an impressive slide as well. At the time we're recording, the stock is down by around about 65% from those $75 highs. So what does this mean? Is this actually a buying opportunity down here, or is the market still not convinced? We'll jump onto the charts in a second and take a look at the technicals. But for now, let's take a look at some of the levels to watch. So I think the most immediate barrier on the upside, a recent high just above $36. We did see a slight recovery in the stock price. It's dropped back fairly heavily from that high, which leads us to looking at some of the potential support just underneath where we are now. So I think we've got quite a close cluster of support here, running from around $24 to $24.75. So investors perhaps will see these old lows as the zone where the stock is going to stop sliding. But to try and put some color on these numbers, let's take a look at the charts in a bit more detail. I thought we'd start things off with a 20-day moving average on the daily chart. And moving averages, very good when markets are trending, not so good when they're sideways. So the signals come, like here, back in November last year, as the price moves through the moving average upwards. That gives us a buy signal. Then the price did a pretty good job of getting out not far after the top, giving a sell signal in February as the price fell below $65. And you can see all the way down, this moving average did a pretty good job again of keeping the price under pressure and staying in this sell position until here, until the middle of May of this year. We saw the price cross back above. And since then, it has got perhaps a little bit choppy, as we haven't seen the same sort of trends in plug power. We've seen a bit of what's known as whipsawing from the moving average, where it's flipping the price and the moving average are flipping over fairly frequently. The last signal we had was here for plug power, the 7th of July, as the price fell through the moving average. The moving average was about $32 then, and so far at least, the price is still below that moving average. But you can see it wouldn't take much at the moment for the price to move above the moving average. That moving average is sitting, around $27.50. If we saw a move through there, perhaps that would be interesting to some people who follow moving averages and signal that we could see a further recovery. Let's wait and see what happens. Looking at the RSI down here, so the RSIs, of course, work slightly differently to moving averages. There are an overbought and oversold signal. So like here in May, when the RSI dips below 30%, the price is said to be oversold. Up here, when the RSI moved above 70%, the price is said to be overbought. So it can be a suggestion that perhaps the strength has gone too far. It took a while to make a top, but it did eventually turn lower again. The latest signal we've had off that RSI is an oversold one. Down here, you can see mid-July, the RSI dips into oversold below 30%. So again, suggesting that perhaps the slide has gone far enough. And I suppose that could be an interesting setup for some, particularly if we do see the price move through the moving average. We've got arguably additional confirmation that these recent lows could be an important one. Let's see how it turns out in the weeks ahead, but it could make it something worth watching. When it comes to levels to watch, let's just flip things over to a shorter term chart and take a look at the last few months. So what we have now, this is a 4-hour candlestick chart. So every candle represents 4 hours worth of trading for the plug power stock. And I suppose I think what's interesting here, taking into account on that latest sell-off, the RSI went oversold in the middle of July. I think from a trading point of view, traders may take the view that actually these $24 lows could be an important short-term support. It does sort of tie in with the levels back here after it sort of started moving strongly higher after making those lows below $20. So I think perhaps in the short term, 24 to 26 could be interesting areas to watch. And I think some people would take the view, well, if it can hold above here, then the next target would be for a run back up to those highs that were only set at the end of June, don't forget, up at $36. So I think 24 or thereabouts could be important short-term support to watch for plug power. Going back to the bigger view, I think that downtrend off those highs or near those highs, does look to be over. It's been a bit sideways since then, admittedly sideways in a big range. And I think the things to watch from here will be whether that moving average gets crossed on the way up. If it does run back up to 36, can it break out? And then I think we've got perhaps a real sign that there's further recovery underway. So at the moment, still a little bit sideways. The moving average is interesting because we're close to the moving average now. It has gone oversold on the daily charts. In the short term, $24 has been important support. But I think from a longer term perspective, perhaps the more cautious will wait to see if it can actually break through 36 and start a proper recovery, or the risk is it continues in this somewhat wide sideways range. That's it for the update in plug power. We'll come back to it over the next couple of months and see how things are performing. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.